Hello, I'm Wendy Baldwin. I'm President and CEO of the Population Reference Bureau. And I'm here today with John May, who is one of our visiting scholars. And John has written the book, World Population Policies, Their Origin, Evolution, and Impact. But what it doesn't say in that title is how immensely readable this book is. It has also received the Population Institute Award for Book of the Year in Population. So we are incredibly pleased to have John here with us at PRB. And this is an occasion for me to ask John a couple of questions and share them with you. So John, tell us, what actually is a population policy?
It's a set of interventions designed by the public sector, by the government, to try to bring population trends and patterns in balance with the goals of the government and with the view of achieving the greater good.
So population isn't just family planning.
It's much broader. It includes programs to reduce mortality, first of all, and then when mortality has declined, usually governments try to tackle the fertility issue. But there are also many other dimensions, including female education, women's rights, and migrations and human rights, etc.
That's really interesting, and I would assume then all countries must have a population policy.
Not quite. Many countries do have one, but most countries have elements of a population policy somewhere on the books. Sometimes when the countries have a real population policy, that might just be a declaration or a statement which is not really implemented. So it might be better to have just elements of a population policies in the laws of the country instead of a formal, full-fledged population policy that's not being implemented.
So maybe it's better to have actual functioning elements of a policy, even if it takes someone like you to pull it all together and say, here's the population policy, if you will, of a country.
This is absolutely correct. And especially in the developed countries or industrialized countries, where you have a lot of family policies which are more than population policies. So you have to deal with different administration, be social security or the pension or the health reform or the migration reform as we currently have in the US. And you have to bring all these different elements together, and then you have a population policy.
This is what makes this book so valuable, because you've done all of that hard work for us. And now the rest of us who want to learn about population policies can pick it up and just read it. But is there any country that has a population policy that you would really call out as being particularly well articulated or well implemented?
Well, I believe that the Asian countries have been doing pretty well. They have decided to address the fertility issues. They have done so with the framework of human rights, even before the Cairo conference, with some exceptions, of course, like China. They have been putting a lot of emphasis on education, especially female education. And in the case of Thailand, for instance, I think it's a sterling example of a good policy, although it was maybe less articulated in a formal global population policy, but all the elements of a right policy were there.
Well, what we see in population is it's so complicated. It isn't just fertility, it isn't just mortality, but it's all of those pieces that go together that makes a population really successful, and certainly Thailand has been successful in many fronts.
Yeah, and Thailand also later on succeeded to tackle the AIDS epidemic pretty well, and they had also incredible champions like Michai Viravadia, to whom I have devoted a box in the book.
So it isn't just all dry rules about Social Security, and it's really the human face on population policies.
Well, there are many, many different elements, and the human factor is fundamental. You need to have leadership. That's what we see today in a country like Rwanda or Ethiopia, where the government is really trying to address high fertility levels. And without those leaders, there would not be much action.
Well, those leaders should be very grateful for you for putting together all of these pieces of things they have done and help the rest of us see how a population policy comes to be, what it can do, and where some good ones are. So I want to thank you for doing such a terrific job for everyone in the population community and for being here with us at PRB.
Thank you, Wendy.